Hi.
Hi, Julie. How are you?
Oh, I'm just dandy.
Yeah, you made it through the Amber Alert for the rainstorm, okay?
I did, and I got rescued by my knight in shining armor kid, and yeah, and Mercury's retrograde in my 8th house. I'm good.
There you go. Now, could that Amber Alert that we got on our phone about the impending storm be part of Mercury retrograde?
Well, I think it's the shape of things to come, and I think I didn't need an Amber Alert to tell me it was going to rain hard.
Yeah.
I just could look up. I could see it in the sky, so I think everybody else on the street could see it as well.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, I was having this conversation with my son-in-law. No, my daughter's boyfriend. I can't call him.
It took me 10 years to call my son-in-law, because they're not married. Yeah. My almost son-in-law.
She won't watch this, and they won't watch it, so I can say it. But
oh, good. Okay, you're safe.
I was saying about how my concern about all the digitization is that as humans, we stop being able to use our senses and sensibilities. That's like right. You said, I can feel a storm is coming. Do I need a phone to tell me that a storm is coming?
Right, and it looked ominous. It was, how you get excited?
Yeah.
When there's a big weather thing. So it looked ominous, it looked exciting. And then there was Amber Alert. And it kind of, it was horrible.
Yeah, I felt it intrusive as well.
And then you wondered, well, so am I going to blow away in the rain? Like, is it going to be so bad that I could be killed by, a raindrop?
Right.
It wasn't that bad.
How bad is it going to be? I know.
Right,
yes,
exactly.
Yes, exactly. So anyway, that was an interesting occurrence that just happened. So we're here to talk again, May 21st, 2022, to check in. Last time we talked about the impending Mercury retrograde, and we are now in the Mercury retrograde. And I just have to say,
we're in it.
Yes.
It's no longer impending, it's here.
We are fully in the Mercury retrograde, and Jupiter has gone into Aries. And what a blessed day that was.
Aries,
yeah. I loved that day.
Yeah, I bet you would.
It was hot.
That day.
It was extroverted. It was beautiful. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Did you like it?
I felt it. Yeah, I think I did like it.
Yeah.
I think I did like it. There was a new moon on the same day, right? That Mercury. No.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was April 11th or 12th. Yeah.
No, it was May 10th.
May. Sorry.
Mercury went retro. No, the new moon was before that. Mercury went retrograde and Jupiter went into Aries on May 10th, the same day.
Right.
And what was good about it, which I think I said in the last one, is that Mercury and Jupiter, Mercury is sextiling Jupiter. And so that sextile of Mercury and Jupiter is very, it sort of inhibits, maybe the worst action that Jupiter in Aries could suggest. I think that on May 29th, Mars will conjunct Jupiter. And on May 27th, Venus will square Pluto. So that period looks to me like we'll see what Jupiter in Aries has in store. And, enthusiasm is a very Jupiter in Aries thing.
Yeah.
It's Jupiter in a fire sign. It doesn't have to be bad. But I think the eclipse that was at 25 degrees of Taurus and Scorpio, so the new moon brought us the gas prices, and the eclipse is just making us more and more aware of inflation. And they're not calling it inflation, though. They have some other word for it. They have some euphemism for it. It's crazy.
Right. I don't know what the new term is. But
I thought I had it in my mind, but I can't remember it now.
Yeah, my memory of that time was that I didn't read the news because I was enjoying the weather so much.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
And it felt, and I did kind of have a little sense of like, oh, it's the full moon. eclipse coming. I wonder how that's going to go. Because it's that balance in astrology of like knowing something's coming, but staying present to what is happening rather than, being anxious about what could happen. But it was so beautiful right up until the night of the eclipse and then the weather got kind of gray the next day. It felt kind of eclipsy the next day, but I didn't notice anything too extreme. So that might have been exactly what you were
No,
saying.
I don't think it was extreme. I think a full moon, even a lunar, did you see the lunar eclipse? It was beautiful.
Well, I
Right?
had my friend that was outside watching it sending me pictures while I was
Oh,
in.
yes. Good. Then you did see it. So it was like a blood red. It's always blood red when the moon is eclipsed. But I think an eclipse, a lunar. So we had a solar eclipse at the new moon, and then we had a lunar eclipse at the full moon. I think a lunar eclipse just shines a dark light, if it's an eclipse, on what the solar eclipse brought. And it's all, it's Taurus. It's all about the fact that we aren't managing inflation. It's all about the inflation. It's all about the value of things, right? And the fact that you can't, a cucumber is 3 times more than it used to cost. Suddenly, right?
Yeah.
So it's unnerving, but I don't think the eclipse makes, well, I mean, I don't think astrology makes things happen. It shows us it's a seamless web, right? The astrology is always reflecting what is happening. And I'm working now that that eclipse was on my birthday. Now that I'm 74, I'm working a lot with myself and with my clients on how it is to use whatever you got as a teaching, as an awakening, not to cower in the corner because there's an eclipse on your birthday.
Right. Yeah.
And it was on Algol, right. I was born there. Right. So, what was I supposed to see? Well, what we were supposed to see, I guess what humanity was supposed to see at the eclipse was that everything that we take for granted has a shelf life, including cheap gas, right? Including, and it's not like it's my fault. It's not like inflation is my fault. I mean, maybe it's my fault because I'm a privileged white person. I don't know. But it's not something I did on purpose.
Right.
Or any one of us did. It's humanity. It's what humans have done.
Yeah.
And we're crazy. We're a crazy species. So the realization was that nothing lasts. Right. And so what do you do with that realization that the full moon brought? And how do you do, what does that mean in your life? Right.
Yeah.
So it's going to be unique. Each person's view of the fact that everything in this world is temporal, is finite, is going to hit them in a unique way to them.
Right.
Depending on what house it's in, depending on how old they are, etc.
Yeah. Yeah, I can say like I was kind of, this is why I like astrology. I get kind of excited about seeing how each of the transits are going to express themselves, because it's always a little bit of a, well, it's like a story. It's just kind of like, oh, where's it going to go? What am I going to see? How will I see it? What will be revealed? And I have to say it was, it was around money in my life too. It was about finances and money and, just
Taurus,
having a look at it, right? Yeah. So that was interesting for me, but on the larger scale, because it's not like I'm purposely telling myself I should think about these things. They just sort of arise.
Right. That's the most fun. Yeah. The most fun is to see what happens and then say, oh my God, that was, Uranus doing this. Or that.
Here it is. Yes. So that's part of the fun of astrology for me. You mentioned that this Mercury, like, I think, have we got into Taurus yet? It's retrograded from Gemini.
Mercury goes into Taurus. Today, May 22nd, tomorrow.
Okay.
And I think that's a whole different aspect of the Mercury retrograde.
Okay.
Mercury retrograde in Taurus is going to trine Pluto. And it's going to make a station going direct conjunct Algol.
When is the station direct?
June 3rd.
Oh, okay. And what do you think that will be about?
I think I think on the positive side, and I do think there's a lot of room for this, is determination. Those earth signs, Mercury in Taurus, Pluto in Capricorn, it's determination. And so whatever's been twirling you around in the Mercury retrograde is something you need to set your determination towards.
Right.
Right. So, if you have a project or whatever, and Mercury retrograde is in my 8th house. I am someone who never throws anything. I'm not a hoarder, but I have a hard time throwing out papers.
Right.
And honestly, I've been looking at those papers for at least 2 years. I have been throwing stuff out. It's phenomenal. I go to have lunch and I bring a stack of papers and I'm just threading through them and throwing them out. And yes, and of course I always save the blank. If they're blank on one side, I save them and use the paper. I recycle paper that way. It's wild. I've gone through at least 3 piles. Right. So it's Gemini, but it's 8th house, right? It's time to compost these things.
Time to let them go.
Time to let them go. Yeah.
Nice. And
so then, I'm happy about that. But then, when like tomorrow, when Mercury goes into Taurus, like there's a determination that may rise out of that, in terms of going forward. Yeah.
What might show itself in terms of going forward?
Yeah. So projects, things like that, earthy things. So if you're, if the eclipse hit you, in terms of your money situation, in your case, then, and, in Mercury retrograde, it's all connected. Then when Mercury starts to make that trine to Pluto, it might be saying, so what are you going to do about it? Like now is the time to think about what the nuts and bolts are.
Right. Yeah. Like the practical steps that I'm going to take to get where I want to go about what's being revealed to me during the full moon.
That's right. So those are very valuable, practical, because that full moon was at 25 degrees of Taurus and Mercury goes direct at 26 degrees of Taurus. So Mercury goes direct on the degree of the eclipse.
Right.
And it's all about the inflation. It's however inflation is affecting you. That's what's going on right now. Right. I'm horrified at how much less worth my money has.
Yeah. And
it's only been like a couple of weeks. It hasn't even been a month yet since I filled up the car and it cost 90 instead of 60.
90.
Yeah, to fill up my little tiny car.
Oh, yeah. So I mean, it probably wasn't just me that was thinking about the money. I know.
No, it wasn't just you.
This individual part of the collective for sure. You mentioned in the last podcast, and also I was listening to your Town Crier podcast because I can't get enough of your astrological insights.
It'll all be here when I'm gone.
You've left
people can tune in when I've left this mortal coil. It's so creepy. Go ahead.
You've left such a legacy of great teaching and information for us to ponder. About you were speaking about, and it was very inspiring, and I encourage people to listen to that as well, because there's these little nuggets that come out that are just so important. You were talking about the documentary you watched about Monsanto, about the Roundup.
Yeah, I didn't watch it. I wished I had, but I heard the guy interviewed. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I want to watch it now. But just like it's something similar in terms of realizing, what's not going to work, and realizing that we have to start moving towards sustainable farming and all of the things that that we can do, that we can start to save the earth and save the farming and save the land, that we have to figure out how we're gonna.
Big project.
So it was very inspiring to hear you speak about that.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a big project. If it was just in your own life, right? You could decide to stop eating junk food and that'd be good. Like you'd make a big difference in your life, right?
Yeah.
But when all of humanity has to stop eating junk food,
It's a big task.
it's hard
Yeah,
to get everyone on side. Yeah.
and heal the soil. Like I've been listening to people talking about, how to save the soil, how to save the seeds, and
Right.
it's important.
Mhm.
Who was it? I was listening. I think his name is Sadhguru. Anyway, he's a spiritual teacher, but his main thing that he's on about right now is saving the soil.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
And what's her name? Vananda Shiva, who's been saving seeds for
yeah,
years. Yeah.
exactly. So that's very Taurus, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a Gemini, though. I was sure she was. I forget what I was sure she was, but she's a Gemini. She was like a nuclear physicist who decided to save seeds. She's quite a character.
she's really fun to listen to, Tom. And she started off in India and she ended up in Guelph, Ontario.
She gets around.
Yeah. So, and I think that's where she started saving her seed bank, is in Guelph, I think.
No, I thought it was India, but
maybe
I mean, it was for India. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So Mercury retrograde, I have high hopes for it because you said it's trined with Pluto when it goes direct.
I think as individuals, it's about our individual determination. And as a collective, let's say as Canada, it's about some kind of determination as well. And we're also having an election the day before Mercury goes direct. Like that will determine a lot who wins the election in Ontario, right? And that may determine, it may or may not determine things the way you would like them determined, which is really distressing.
Yeah. Yes. So that's still Mercury. It's just the one day they should consult you, Julie, before they set
It's
up the
okay. It's
election.
okay. The day before a Mercury retrograde, a Mercury direct is Mercury direct.
Okay.
It's
right.
close enough.
All right. Close enough. All right.
I'm not worried about that. I don't think it'll be a
miscount or anything?
No.
Okay. All right.
I think whoever gets elected, however, is Ontario, the collectiveness of Ontario determining the direction it's going in.
Right. Yes. Yes. It's a big determination of what's
right.
going to occur for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna get back together again after the election and see what that determination
well, it's sure.
Okay. And so what else is on the horizon? What's the astrological weather? You can send out amber alerts about astrology.
Oh, wow. Yes. Amber alert. A new moon in Gemini. Amber alert. It will conjunct Mars on January 12th. The new moon is very interesting, I think. It's hard for me to get my head around it exactly, but the new moon is at 9 degrees of Gemini.
Okay.
And Mars makes a station in January at 8 or 9 degrees of Gemini going direct. So Mars is going to go retrograde at the end of October, and then it's going to go direct around January 12th.
Okay.
And in September, it's going to enter the shadow of that retrograde period. So Mars goes retrograde every couple of years. And this Mars retrograde is, Mars retrograde is always challenging because Mars is the warrior, right? Mars wants to, so, Brexit was the day that Mars went retrograde.
Oh gosh.
That you knew they weren't going to get it right? You cannot, you have to wait through a Mars retrograde period and ask every question you can think of so that when Mars goes direct, you're ready. So it feels to me like this new moon that's coming up on May 30th at 7:30 a.m. is a precursor for the Mars retrograde period that's coming. So if you think of, if you use the new moons, and everybody is always welcome to come to the new moon gatherings that I do.
How do they sign up? They go to your website, Julie?
They have to send me an email and then I'll put them on the mailing list. It's, it's a It's not automated.
Okay.
I'm the algorithm keeper. But you know, if you send me an email, I'll put you on the email list.
Okay.
So the point of the new, you know, and I just do this because I'm an astrologer, but I have since understood that many's the religion that celebrates the new moon and makes it's an important thing. You know, all lunar calendars start, new moons are beginning. So it's big, it's old, it's deep in the psyche of humans to take a new moon and plant a seed of intention, an idea, something like that. So so whatever this new moon is about, whatever seed you're planting, you could say that it's going to need a lot of time, because it's not going to really, you're not going to really see where it's going until January.
Okay.
And by January, it'll be easy for everyone to forget there was a new moon. I'll try and remember,
Okay.
but that there was a new moon on May 30th that showed us where we're going.
I love these little secret passages. They're little.
I think this is worth paying attention to. My first astrology teacher, Eleanor Bach, used to say that these were sensitive degrees, right? That when a planet made a station, or even a new moon, that it sensitizes the degree. So a new moon at 9 degrees of Gemini, if nothing else is happening there, isn't as sensitive. But if you have a major thing like Mars going direct, and it is major, when we get to that, when Mars goes retrograde on October 30th, I think, it will square Neptune, right? It will be a lot of misdirection, you know, lies, you know, sex lies and videotape. I don't know, but you know, like it'll be things that don't make sense. And it'll be really important to navigate it, not to freak out about it, or you know, and that's hard if somebody just you know, scammed your credit card or something. It's like you panic, right? So I think, and then the opposition, the big day, you know, and we'll talk about this when we get closer and we see what it actually is. But the big event of a Mars retrograde is when it opposes the sun. And that would be around December 8th, I think, is the exact opposition. So there's a whole lot of things that Mars is going to ask us or indicate that we're dealing with. But your intention at this new moon, and you know, it's Gemini, so it's your intention for learning or for anything Gemini towards your siblings, you know, a million things it could be.
Communication. Communications, writing. Communication,
writing. Doesn't have to be writing, yeah, but could be writing, anything, and it could be distraction. Right. You know, it could be that you have one more distraction that you want to incorporate into your life. Oh, I'm going to take up blah, you know, and let's say that that's what it is. Let's say it's about the fact that you suddenly want to learn how to knit. You'll probably be really knitting your head off in January.
Okay. All right. Good to mark that. I like to take my day book. I still have a day book. I'm not automated because I can write things in. That's why.
Yes, I like to write things into
the space that I have. Yeah. I like to write these sensitive point days in my calendar. So, you know, what day did you say? The new moon? May 30th.
The new moon is May 30th.
So that's a sensitive point for when Mars goes direct in January.
Right. So that new moon is going to be, you know, in your 6th house, opposite some of your Sag stuff, right? It's going to be in my 8th house.
Chart. I don't even, blows my mind. Yeah. How you hold all this information in your head. That's
because I don't really see Sarah. I see Sag rising. I see, you know, Jupiter on the ascendant. It's a problem. If anyone actually, you know, could inspect what I'm actually seeing about people, it's right.
Oh, that's funny. So yeah, it'll be in my 6th house. Maybe conjunct.
Yeah, so I think we should pay attention to the new moon. Yeah. I think we should pay attention to Mercury going back, you know, tomorrow, going back into Earth signs, and this trine to Pluto, and what we're determined to accomplish or, you know, make happen or whatever. So a lot of people, like going back to the Ontario election, a lot of people are just determined to make their candidate win, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's
So
interesting.
it'll
Yeah.
be more effective after tomorrow than it has been thus far. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I wanted to let you finish. Yeah, it'll be because I actually have been more determined in this election than I'm actually going to the debate for my riding to listen to them all talk and ask them questions. So I've
Very good.
never done that before. So
When is that?
in my writing, it is, oh, I have to double check. I have it in my date book.
But it's
Yeah,
after Mercury goes into Taurus. Yeah,
that's right.
very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah,
So yeah,
excellent.
there you
So I
go.
think we should pay attention to that. I think we should pay attention to Mars and Aries. Mars and Aries as of May 24th, so coming right up, but particularly to when it conjuncts Jupiter on the 29th. You know, the world is in a war, and, you know, it's like a big chess game. So, you know, and now two of the, I don't know, bishops are going to join NATO, you know, so yeah, there's a lot of movement on that board. It'll be interesting to see what Mars conjunct Jupiter in Aries brings on that. I think that's where we see Jupiter's face in Aries.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think the war kicked off when Mars conjuncted Pluto back in
Yeah,
yeah,
the war kicked off when Mercury went direct squaring Uranus. Mercury made a station squaring Uranus, which made a station.
okay.
It
Yeah.
was quite dramatic.
And Mars was very close to Pluto, I remember
Yeah,
that.
I can look that up without too much difficulty here.
So then we've got Mars coming along, which Mars is the warrior. Without any guidance, he is the soldier, and hopefully that soldier is
Yes, Mars was in Capricorn. You're absolutely right. And shortly after that, I think it did conjunct Pluto. Yeah.
yeah. So we will
Yeah.
see.
So it's also interesting, although this is, you know, I don't know, I think I talked about this last time, but as of February, whatever, when Mercury went direct, February 3rd, I guess, there were no retrograde planets till April 30th.
Right.
So, and then Pluto went retrograde, and now, you know, Saturn's going retrograde, all that stuff. So, and Mercury is retrograde now, and all that, all those things are happening. So, I think that that was when the jets opened, and then starting in this slow, inexorable way that Pluto does when we're seeing the consequences for the rest of us, right? And some new disease that's cooking up, you know.
Yeah.
So there's a feeling that people have, I think, not to be negative, but to be real, of the, I don't know, the net closing or something in around all of us. And I think that we all need to know that that feeling isn't something that's individual, it's collective, right? And that the more we understand that as a collective feeling, even if we don't go out and do something with that, but then the more we're actually able to deal with circumstances that we have to deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah, Saturn goes retrograde on June 4th.
Okay. Right. So yeah, consequences, and also we do as a group, we do have to get our shit together.
Yeah, but what does that mean for me? Like, you know, I put a sign on my front yard, but they keep calling me and asking me if I'll make phone calls, and I don't want to make phone. I hate the phone. So I haven't caved yet, but you know, I probably should offer to make phone calls.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess you can determine that tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, I figure if I'm going to make phone calls, it's after the Mercury goes back into Earth to figure out how to do that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay,
So
that sounds like quite a bit. Yeah, I like that. And it's I think it's good to review a little bit of what we talked about, because I always need a little bit of reminding about, it's hard enough keeping my stuff together on the earth. It's good to,
Yeah,
review.
well, it's a process. It's these aren't discrete things. These are all, everything is connected to everything.
Yeah,
Can I say a little bit about my Patreon?
of course. Yeah.
I don't want people to feel that I'm bugging them about Patreon. I really understand not wanting another password. But I'm trying hard, to figure out how to make these kinds of things work, which I love to do. And so I've added a very minimal link on my Patreon, for like $5 a month. If you can, and if you would like to support the free content like this that we do, because I just can't see that I want to, charge $500 a reading. So
Right.
if I could generate that, and then there's also on Patreon, there's my Patreon, there's a midlife crisis workshop that that's a different tier. You have to pay more for that, but there's that. And then there's the Silver River School for Occult Studies, if you want to do that. So it's all there. And there's also the new moon. There's a visualization and a little talk for every new moon. So there's all sorts of things you can sign up for, or not, just minimal things. And if you don't do it, it's not it's not like I'm gonna stop doing this, but it would help a little to be able to keep doing it without having to raise my prices and stuff like that.
Well, you do offer quite a lot of free information for people, and I know from being around that it does take quite a bit of energy and quite a bit of time for you to offer this, and it's been a great offering, and I'd love to offer it to anybody that wants to listen, because I want to share these insights with people.
When you get old, there's less time in the day.
Yeah. And I just the Silver River, so with the Patreon, the Silver River story that you're putting together is a wonderful way of delivering the very basics of astrology in a very entertaining and interesting story about what it's like to learn astrology, and you put
you can check it out without signing up at my website, juliesimmons.ca, and then you have to scroll down to where it says publications, and then you get to Silver River, and then the whole first segment of it is there for anybody.
And I've read it, and even though I know the basics of astrology, I love reading it again, because it's always.
Yeah, I've tried to separate out the astrology lessons because they're a bit dense, and for people who want to learn astrology, it could be good. But if you're just, want to hang out with the students at Silver River, you can do that also.
I highly recommend it. in lieu of your astrology school, in person, this is a great way to sort of experience it through reading.
Well, it's interesting because I feel like all these things that we're doing, like this video and everything, it is kind of Silver River.
Yeah,
it is Silver River.
Yeah, and giving people
Silver River, of course. Oh, then there's the black hole.
What is the black hole?
They took a picture of the black hole.
That the cosmic center in the Milky Way?
The galactic center is the black hole at the middle of the Milky Way, which is our galaxy.
And they've never done that before?
They never took a picture of it. But if you look at the picture, I have to say, the galactic center is the womb of the great sky mother, which is the Milky Way spread across the sky. If you stand just right, in the right month, you can see that there's a dancer in the sky. And right smack dab in her center is the galactic center, and that is where the black hole is. So I'm just saying that every woman has a kind of a black hole at the center of her body in the same place.
Right.
And so it's clear that we are created in the image of God.
And it's a woman.
And it's a woman, yes. And she has a black hole in her center.
Well, I wonder how she feels about it having been taken a picture of, but
I think she wouldn't mind. It's like an ultrasound, right? I think she wouldn't mind if they would acknowledge what they're looking at, but of course they don't. But if you see a picture of it, it's like a cervix with a hole in the middle. I
Where
mean,
can
go
I,
there.
where can I look at this picture?
Just type in black hole, you know, picture.
Galactic, I think I'll do galactic center just to make
Yeah,
sure.
but it's not an astrology thing. It's an astronomy thing. And if you can't find it, I'll send it to you.
Okay.
But I want to add one little piece to that, which is that the idea of the precession of the equinoxes is something that people have known for many thousands of years. And so the galactic center right now is in the late degrees of Sagittarius, but it's moving. It's always moving. And the galactic center will, maybe at the end of the century or somewhere in there, nobody's ever sure when, it will line up with the first day of winter, 0 degrees of Capricorn, which is the birth of the winter king. It's the birth of the baby, right? And that's the beginning of something really exciting for human beings, should we last long enough.
Okay. So,
And that was the prediction of the I think it was 2012 or whatever, when the world was supposed to end and begin. It's just hard to calculate. So it's not there yet, but that's what's happening. So you could think of it as an insemination, right? That when the view from Earth lines up with the womb of the great sky. So now I'm out on a limb.
okay. I love it. The symbolism is
This
rich.
like some kind of, yes. So now I'm preaching, like cosmic, I don't know, belief systems, but I do find it exciting. And I do think that the womb of the galactic center is the womb of the great sky mother. I mean, Milky Way is the milk from Hera's breasts. It is what, that's what the Silver River
It's so
is.
beautiful. And I mean, all of the major holidays of every religion falls directly on the equinoxes and solstices.
Sure.
So, I mean, we can say that we're very deeply connected with the movements of the seasons and where the sun and the earth and the stars are. So
But somewhere what happened is we elevated and we stopped realizing that we also are on the earth. Like we stand between heaven and earth.
yeah,
We're not, Elon Musk to the contrary notwithstanding, we're not meant to just be up there. We're meant to be standing on the earth, bringing down the sky. Like
yes. Between
anyway,
heaven and
that's
earth.
my entertaining little thought.
I
Those of
love
you who
that.
made it to the end, I hope you're entertained by the notion of the galactic center.
I think we should use that as your title page.
I don't know how, the womb of the great sky.
Yeah, the womb of the great mother. Okay, that's great, Julie. And just a reminder to people, if you do want to comment in the section below to ask Julie any questions or to clarify anything, please do that. It also helps us get the content out to more people. So if you hit like, subscribe, or comment, that helps Julie's videos get out to more people. So please do that if you want to. And have a look at Julie's website and check out the Patreon and see what wonderful things she has available. Okay.
Thank you, Sarah.
My pleasure. Thanks, Julie.